You wake up one day staring at the ceiling, realizing your dreams are still just that, dreams, trapped in the fog of some day, waiting for luck to knock. But what if I told you success isn't a gamble? It's a science. A simple 5-step blueprint to bridge the gap between where you are and where you were meant to be. Stick around, because tonight we're building that bridge together.
Good evening. Tonight, we are going to have a serious discussion about one of the most important subjects in life. We are going to talk about achievement. We are going to talk about goals. We are going to talk about the simple, profound, and yet often misunderstood process of turning an invisible dream into a visible reality. We are going to talk about the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And we are going to talk about the bridge that crosses that gap, achieving any goal. Whether it is a financial goal, a physical goal, a relationship goal, or a personal development goal, is not about hoping things will work out. It is not about wishing for better luck. This is the first and most profound mistake that most people make. They treat their lives, their dreams, and their futures as a matter of chance. They are passengers in their own lives, waiting and wishing and hoping. They hope things will get better. They hope the economy will improve. They hope their boss will give them a raise. They hope that someday they will feel motivated. They hope that one of these days their big break will come. Let us be very clear about this. Hope is not a strategy. It is a wonderful, necessary, beautiful human emotion. It is fine for the soul, but it is a terrible strategy for achievement. Hope is passive. Achievement is active. Hope is waiting. Achievement is building. Hope will not build the house. Hope will not fund the retirement. Hope will not change your health. Hope will not write the book. Hope is a wish. And wishes, my friends, will not take you where you want to be. And what about the other great fantasy? Luck. People say, I just need to get lucky. I just need a lucky break. They are waiting for the world to deliver their future to them. But luck is not a plan. Luck, I have found, is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. The person who is prepared, the person who has done the work, the person who has a plan, they always seem to have all the luck. The farmer who plants in the spring, who cultivates in the summer, always seems to have the luck of a harvest in the fall. It is not luck. It is law. It is process. Success is not an accident. Failure is not an accident. Success is a science. It is about following a set of fundamental principles, a set of disciplines that brings you, inevitably, closer to the results you want. And failure is just as predictable. It is the result of a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. A few disciplines, neglected. So, if success is not about hope, and it is not about luck, what is it about? It is about a process. It is about a system. It is about a recipe. If you want to bake a cake, and you just go into the kitchen and hope it works out, you will have a mess. You need a recipe. You need the steps. Achievement is no different. Over the years, through my own life, through my own failures and my own successes, and through observing and working with some of the most successful people in the world, I have developed and refined a 5-step process. It is a process that will take you from where you are to where you want to be. It does not matter where you are starting from. It does not matter what your background is. It does not matter how many times you have failed in the past. It will take you from where you are to to where you want to be, no matter what your goal is. Now, I am going to share these 5 steps with you. These steps are simple, but do not, for one moment, mistake simple for easy. This is the great trap. This is the great deception of life. Most people are looking for the complicated, secret answer. They think success must be a complex formula, hidden away in some book, available only to a select few. The principles of success are not complicated. They are simple. They are as simple as an apple a day. That is a simple principle. But if it is so simple, why is everyone not healthy? The idea is simple. The doing is hard. Why is it not easy? Because it requires the other words from the transcript. It requires discipline. It requires focus. And it requires persistence. It is simple to read one chapter of a good book every night. It is also easy to not do it. It is easy to turn on the television instead. It is simple to save 10% of your income. It is also easy to spend it. It is simple to go for a 30-minute walk. It is also easy to stay on the couch. And the failure, the great tragedy, is that the cumulative effect of those easy negative choices is what leads to a life of failure. Failure is not one single catastrophic event. Failure is the inevitable result of a long line of easy choices. The failure to do the simple things. And success is no different. Success is not one grand, heroic act. It is not one lottery ticket. Success is the natural, inevitable result of a few simple disciplines, practiced every single day. The process I am about to share with you is simple, but it is not easy. It is not a magic trick. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a process that requires work. It requires you to change. It requires you to be an active participant, not a passive bystander. It requires you to stop being a drifter and to start being a designer. Most people are drifters. They are a ship without a rudder, without a sail, without a destination. They are just drifting in the fog of someday. They are at the mercy of the currents of the economy, the currents of public opinion, the currents of their own unexamined bad habits, and they just drift along, hoping that one day the wind will change and blow them into a harbor of success. But the designer, the architect of their life, does not live that way. The architect does not hope a house will appear. The architect draws the blueprint. The architect creates the plan. The architect oversees the building. This 5-step process is the blueprint. It is the architectural plan for your life. It is the recipe. And if you follow these steps, if you bring your own discipline, your own focus, and your own persistence to this simple process, I can guarantee you, you will get closer to your goals than you ever imagined. This process will cut through the fog. This process will take the vague, invisible wish that is floating in your mind, and it will give it substance. It will give it form. It will turn it into a concrete reality. It will turn the dream into an address. So, are you ready to stop wishing? Are you ready to stop hoping? Are you ready to stop drifting? And to start, perhaps for the first time in your life, to consciously and deliberately build. If you are, then let us begin. Let us lay the first and most important stone in the foundation of your new life. The first step to achieving any goal is clarity. So, the first step to achieving any goal, the first and most important stone in the foundation of your new life. The first principle, it is clarity. Without clarity, it is impossible. And I do not use that word lightly. It is impossible to make progress. How many people are out there right now, right at this very moment, saying they want more out of life? They know they want something different. They know they want something better. They have a vague, undefined, restless feeling, but they have never, ever taken the time to seriously and precisely define it. They are drifters. They are the ship that we talked about, without a rudder, without a destination. They are living in a fog, and they are just hoping that someday the fog will lift, and they will magically arrive at a beautiful shore. But life does not work that way. This is the great human sickness, the sickness of vagueness. You ask someone, "What do you want?" And they say, "I want to be successful." That is a wonderful statement. But what does it mean? What does success look like for you? If you do not define it, how will you know when you have it? And more importantly, how will your mind know what to aim for? You ask another person, "What do you want?" And they say, "I want more money." This is the most common answer. I want more money. Again, a fine ambition, but how much? How much money? Is it an extra $10? 000 a year? Is it an extra $100? 000 a year? Is it a net worth of $1 million? You see, a goal of $10, 000 a year, and a goal of $1. Ling, ling, ling. Ling, ling, ling. Are not the same goal. They are not even in the same universe. They require a different plan. They require different actions. They require a different you. They require a different set of habits, a different level of focus, a different standard of discipline. If you just tell your mind, "I want more money," your mind, which is a brilliant and literal servant, will say, "Okay," and it will find you $1 on the street, and you will have more money, and the goal will be achieved. And you will still be dissatisfied. You must be specific. You cannot be vague about the things that matter most. Vagueness is the enemy of progress. Without specificity, without being crystal clear about what you want, you will find yourself, as the transcript said, chasing after vague ideas, chasing ghosts, and you will never, ever quite reach them, because there is nothing to reach. Clarity is the foundation of all success. It is the first and most important act of building. It is like setting a target. This is the great analogy. If you go to an archery range and you say, "I want to be a great archer," and I say, "Wonderful. There is your bow. There is your arrow." And you look out, and there is just a wall of fog. There is no target. And you say, "But where do I aim?" And I say, "Just shoot. You will figure it out." What are the chances you will hit anything? 0. What are the chances you will even try? Very low. Because why would you? It is a futile effort. It is a waste of energy. You will miss every time. But what if I go out and I paint a small, bright, red circle in the center of the target? What if I make it clear and specific and visible? Now what happens? Everything changes. Now, you have a purpose. Now, you have a direction. Now, you can focus. You can pull back the string. You can aim. You can measure your progress. Your first shot might miss by 5 feet, but now you have feedback. You can see, I aim too high. You can adjust. You can shoot again. You miss by 2 feet. You adjust again. You miss by 6 inches. You are getting closer. You are making progress. Why? Because you have a clear, defined, visible target. Clarity is the target for your life. So the first thing you need to do, the first great work of your new life, is to get crystal clear on your goal. Not just in general terms, but in specific, measurable, detailed terms. You must set aside the time. This is not casual. This is the most serious work you can do. You must sit down with a blank piece of paper and a pen, and you must have a conversation with yourself. You must ask yourself the hard questions, the questions you have been avoiding, perhaps for your entire life. What exactly do I want? And you must be honest. Do not write down what your parents want for you. Do not write down what your spouse wants for you. Do not write down what your neighbors will be impressed by. This is not for them. This is your blueprint. What do you want? If it is financial freedom, as we said, define it. What is the number? Does that mean you want to earn $100? 000 a year or $500? 000, or is it a net worth of $5 million? Write the number down. It is not magic. It is clarity. Or maybe it is not about the income. Maybe it is about the lifestyle. Fine. Define that. I want to be successful is not a definition. What does it look like? Do you want to work less and spend more time with your family? That is a wonderful goal. But it is still vague. How much less? What does that look like? How many hours a week do you want to work? Write it down. I work no more than 30 hours a week. How much free time do you want to have? I want to have every weekend. 3 days. Completely free. I want to take a 1-month vacation with my family. Every single year. That is clarity. That is a target. Now you have something to aim for. Now you can look at an opportunity and ask, does this move me closer to my 30-hour work week? Or does this pull me further away? The clearer you can be about your goal, the more power you give yourself to achieve it. Now, once you have that clarity, once you have it written down on paper, you must take the next step. You must move it from the paper into your mind. You must visualize it. You must close your eyes. And you must see yourself in possession of that goal. You must turn that written blueprint into a 3-dimensional, full-color, sensory experience. Picture what your life looks like. Once you have achieved it, what are you doing? How are you feeling? Who are you with? What does your house look like? What car are you driving? What does your bank account look like? What does your body feel like? Now that you have achieved your health goal, what does the peace in your mind feel like? Now that you have the financial freedom, you must make this mental picture so real, so vivid, that your mind does not know the difference between the vision and reality. Why? Because this mental picture becomes the new blueprint for your subconscious mind. Your mind, that deep, powerful, goal-seeking mechanism, must have a clear picture. It will work tirelessly, day and night, to bring into your life the things that it holds. Clearly, in its focus. What the mind can visualize, it can bring to reality. But if the picture is blurry, if the goal is vague, if it is just more or better, Your mind has nothing to aim for. It is trying to build a house. But you have given it a smudged, illegible blueprint. So what does it do? It does nothing. Or it just keeps building the same old house you have always lived in. Because at least that blueprint is clear. You must give your mind a new, clearer blueprint. Years ago, I met a young man who came to one of my seminars. He was ambitious. He was full of energy. But as the transcript said, he was all over the place. He was in the fog. He was trying to do 10 different things. He told me, "Mr. Rohn, I want to be rich." And I asked him that simple, powerful question. How much money do you want to make? Rich is not a number. What is the target? He did not have an answer. He looked at me and he said, "I have not thought about it. I just know I want more." I told him, "Young man, that is your entire problem. You have all this energy, all this ambition, but you are a cannon, firing in every direction. You're not hitting anything. You have got to define that. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. Go home, do the work, and come back when you have a number." So he went home, and he did just that. He did the hard work of thinking, of deciding. He came back, and he said, "Okay, I have my number. Lang by Mei Yuan. Ling Ling Ling. I will earn $200. 000 by the end of this year." Now, that was a big, audacious goal, but something had changed. He was no longer a drifter. He was a man with a target. And you know what happened? Once he got clear on that number, Liang Bai Mei Yuan, Ling Ling Ling, his entire world shifted. He told me it was like a filter had been placed over his eyes. He started making decisions that were aligned with that goal. His energy, which had been scattered, was now focused. His time, which he had been spending, he now invested his resources. All of them were now aimed at opportunities that would bring him closer to that $200. Null mark. An old friend would call and say, "Hey, let's go start this little side project." And this young man, before, would have said, "Sure, that sounds fun." He would have been distracted. But now he had a filter. He had clarity. He would look at the opportunity and he would ask one simple question. Does this move me closer to my $200? 000 goal. Or does it move me further away? If the answer was no, the decision was simple. He said, "No. Thank you. I am focused on my primary goal." Clarity is the ultimate time management tool. Clarity is the ultimate decision-making tool. Clarity is what gives you the power to say no to the good, so you can say yes to the best. And by the end of the year, he had hit that goal. Was it magic? No. It was science. It was the science of clarity. He defined the target. He created the mental blueprint. And every decision, every action, was aligned with that blueprint. That is the power of clarity. So if you have not already, you must do this work. This is your first assignment. Do not wait. Do not say someday. Do this tonight. Sit down, take out a clean piece of paper, and write out your goal. Write it out in detail. Be specific. Be clear. How much? By when? What does it look like? What does it feel like? The more specific you are, the more focused you will be. And the more focused you are, the faster you will make progress. This clarity is the foundation. It is the concrete slab upon which you will build the entire house of your success. You cannot build a magnificent, towering structure on a weak, vague, or non-existent foundation. You must do this work first. You must get clear. And once you have this clarity, once you have this crystal clear destination, then you are ready for the second step. Then, and only then, you are ready to create a plan. So, you have done the hard work of the first step. You have done what most people in their entire lives will never do. You have taken the time. You have had the discipline to get clear. You have taken your vague, formless wish, your desire for more or better, and you have forged it into a target. You have clarity. You have a crystal clear, specific, measurable, and detailed destination. You have painted the red circle on the target. You have drawn the blueprint, with absolute precision, what you are aiming for. This is a magnificent first step. You have separated yourself from the 90%. You are no longer a drifter, lost in the fog of someday. You have a destination. But now, we must address the second great barrier. And this is the one where so many people, and even the ones with clarity, fail. They have the destination, but they have no map. They have the blueprint, but they have no plan of action. This brings us to the second step in the process. You must create a plan. A goal without a plan is just a dream. Let me say that again. A goal, no matter how clear, no matter how specific, no matter how brilliantly visualized, if it is not backed by a plan, is just a dream. It is a wish. It is a balloon floating in the air. It is not real. It has no substance. It has no power. It is not until you have mapped out the steps to get there that the goal becomes tangible. This is the second great failure of most people. They set a goal. They get excited. They have their New Year's resolution. They say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Or I want to double my income. But they stop there. They have the what, but they have never, ever taken the time to seriously, strategically, figure out the how. And without a how, without a plan, you are just wandering. You are just hoping for the best. You are standing in New York with a clear vision of California. But you have no map. You have no car. You have no path. You are just hoping. And we've already established, hope is not a strategy. A plan is the roadmap. It is the blueprint. It is the recipe. It is the bridge that connects the vision of your clarity to the reality of your future. It shows you the path from where you are to where you want to be. Now, here is the great trap. This is the place where most people get stuck. This is the great quicksand of progress. They sit down to make a plan, and they become paralyzed. They are paralyzed by the need to have a perfect plan. They think they need to have every single step, every single turn, every single detail figured out before they can even start. They sit there with their blank piece of paper and they think, but what if I miss a step? What if this is the wrong plan? What if I do not know how? What if I cannot figure out every single detail from here to the finish line? And this, my friends, is the most sophisticated most intelligent sounding, and most deadly form of procrastination. It is the someday sickness. All over again. Just wearing a business suit. It is the disease of getting ready to get ready. It is the paralysis of analysis. And if you wait until you have every single step figured out, if you wait until the plan is perfect, you will never begin. You will sit there, planning for the rest of your life. You will be the drifter. All over again. Just a drifter with a notebook full of ideas. The beauty of a plan is not that it is perfect. The beauty of a plan is that it evolves. You must understand this. The plan is not a rigid, concrete prison. It is a living, breathing guide. You adjust it as you go. But what is important? What is critical? What you must have is a starting point. You must have a framework. You must have a direction. Think of it like this. As the transcript said, when you decide to take a road trip across the country, let's say from New York to California, you have your clarity. The destination is Los Angeles. Now, do you sit in your driveway in New York and refuse to turn on the car until you know the name of every single street? Every single turn, every single pothole, and every single traffic light for the next 3,000 miles? Of course not. That would be absurd. You would never leave. What do you need? You just need to know the main highways. You need to know the general route. You say, okay, I will take Interstate 80 West. That is the plan. That is the starting point. It gives you direction. And then you start the car. You begin. And as you drive, you adjust. You hit a detour. The road is closed. Do you turn around? Go back to New York and give up on California? No. You look at the map. You find another road. You reroute. You pivot. You adjust. You get back on the main highway. You run into bad weather. A storm. Do you quit? No. You slow down. You pull over for the night. You adjust the plan. But you do not give up on the destination. The plan is your map. It is your Interstate 80. It gets you started. It keeps you moving in the right direction. And it gives you a framework for making adjustments. So, once you have your clarity, your crystal clear goal from step one, the next question is, how do I get there? What is my Interstate 80? You must break it down. This is the discipline of planning. You must take your big 5-year, 10-year, audacious goal, and you must break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller steps. If your goal is to be financially free in 10 years, that is the destination. But that is overwhelming. You cannot do 10 years today. So you break it down. What is the 5-year plan? What is the 1-year plan? What must I accomplish in the next 365 days to be on track? Now you have a 1-year plan. That is still big. So you break it down again. What is the monthly plan? What must I accomplish this month? Now you break it down again. What is the weekly plan? What must I do this week? And finally, you break it down to the most important level of all. What must I do today? That is how you turn a massive, overwhelming dream into a simple, daily, actionable set of commands. Your plan is what tells you what to do today. Let us go back to the example. Your goal is to lose 20 pounds by the end of the year. That is your clarity. It is a great goal, but it is overwhelming. You do not lose 20 pounds today. So, you create a plan. You break it down. instead of focusing on the big number. Sure. You create a plan where you lose just 1 pound a week, or even half a pound a week. Now, is that overwhelming? No. That is manageable. That is realistic. Now that you have this smaller, manageable milestone, you ask the next question, how? How do I lose 1 pound this week? And the plan begins to write itself. You ask, what changes do I need to make in my diet? Your plan might be, I will stop drinking soda. I will drink water instead. I will eat a salad for lunch. You ask, how often will I exercise? Your plan might be, I will walk for 30 minutes every single day. You ask, what resources do I need? As the transcript said, do I need a trainer, a workout buddy, a meal plan? Get specific with your plan, just as you did with your goal. A vague plan is just as useless as a vague goal. I will eat better is not a plan. I will eat a salad for lunch. Monday through Friday is a plan. I will exercise more is not a plan. I will walk for 30 minutes at 7 a.m. every morning is a plan. The key to a good plan is that it is actionable and realistic. This is the next great trap. Too often, people make grand, heroic plans that are impossible to stick with. They get that burst of motivation from step 1. They are excited, and they say, I am going to change everything. Starting tomorrow, I am going to work out for 2 hours every day. I will give up all sugar. I will wake up at 4 a.m. and I will run a marathon by the end of the month. What kind of a plan is that? That is not a plan for success. That is a plan for burnout. It is a fantasy. It is not sustainable. And what happens? You follow it for 3 days. You are exhausted. You are sore. You are miserable. And by day 4, you quit, and you fall back to your old habits. And you tell yourself, see, I knew I could not do it. This whole goal-setting thing does not work. It was not the goal that failed. It was the plan that failed. It was unrealistic. A plan must be something you can follow consistently over time. This is the great law. Success is not what you do for 3 days. Success is what you do for 3 years. It is better to start small and build momentum than to set yourself up for burnout by doing too much too soon. It is better to have a plan to walk for 10 minutes a day and do it for a year than to have a plan to run a marathon and quit after a week. The 1-0-minute walk done consistently will change your life. The marathon, never run, is just another broken promise to yourself. So, maybe your goal is to start a business. How do you turn that dream into reality? You do not just quit your job. That is not a plan. That is a gamble. You start with the basics. You break it down. What kind of business? Who are your customers? What do you need to learn before you can launch? You break it down, step by step. First, I will research my market. I will spend 5 hours this week. Second, I will create a 1-page business plan. I will do it this month. Third, I will look into securing funding. Or, I will create a plan to save the money. Fourth, I will register the business name. It does not matter how small the steps seem, as long as they move you forward. When I was starting out, I did not know every step to becoming successful. I had no idea, but I did know. As my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, taught me, that I had to learn, I had to improve, I had to grow. So I created a plan. It was a simple plan. I created a plan to read a certain number of books each month. I created a plan to find mentors and to set aside time to meet with them. I made a plan to apply what I learned every single day. My plan was not perfect. It was messy. I made mistakes, and I adjusted it as I grew. But it gave me the structure I needed. It gave me the roadmap. It gave me the focus. It was the Interstate 80 that got me started. This brings us to the next crucial idea. Flexibility is key. Life will happen. Things will not always go according to your perfect written plan. That is a guarantee. You will hit that detour. You will run into that storm. A new opportunity will present itself that you did not anticipate. A new obstacle will appear that you could not have foreseen. The amateur, the person who is rigid, when they hit that obstacle, they quit. They say, "It is not working. The plan is broken. The dream is dead." But the professional, the architect, understands that this is part of the process. If something does not work out, you adjust. You revise the plan. You try a different approach. But you do not. You never give up on the goal. This is a critical distinction. You must be firm in your destination, but flexible in your route. You are committed to the goal. Step 1. You are not married to the plan. Step 2. The plan is just a tool. It is a vehicle. If the car gets a flat tire, you do not abandon the entire road trip. You change the tire. You fix the plan. This is why it is so important, as the transcript said, to review your plan regularly. A plan that you write and then put in a drawer for a year is just as useless as no plan at all. It is a dead document. Your plan must be a living document. You must set aside time each week. Maybe it is Sunday night. You set aside 30 minutes and you pull out your plan and you check in. Where am I? Am I making progress? Did my actions this week align with my plan? What worked? What did not work? Do I need to adjust my actions for next week? This constant, weekly, disciplined review is what gives you that intelligent flexibility. It allows you to pivot. It allows you to adapt. Maybe a new opportunity presents itself. You can now evaluate that opportunity, not based on emotion, but based on your plan. You ask, does this new opportunity get me to my destination? Step 1, faster, or is it just a distraction? Maybe you realize you need to learn a new skill to move forward. Your weekly review tells you this. So, you adjust the plan. You add a new step. This month, I will find a course to learn that new skill. Whatever it is, you are open to adapting, but you always keep your eye on the goal. This is the work of the architect. It is not glamorous. It is not magic. It is the hard, quiet, disciplined work of thinking. You have your clarity. That is your destination. You have your plan. That is your map. You have broken it down from a 10-year dream to a daily action. You have made it realistic so you can build momentum, and you have committed to reviewing it so you can be flexible. You have done the hard work of step 1 and step 2. You have done more than 99% of the people who are just drifting. You have the blueprint. And now you are ready for the third step. You are ready to pick up the hammer. You are ready to start building. You are ready to take action. So, you have done the hard work of the first 2 steps. You have done what most people in their entire lives will never do. You have done the work of step 1, clarity. You have separated yourself from the 90% of people who are drifting in the fog of someday. You have taken your vague, formless wish, and you have forged it into a crystal clear, specific, measurable, and detailed destination. You have painted the red circle on the target. You have drawn the blueprint, with absolute precision. What you are aiming for, and you have done the work of step 2, the plan. You have refused to be the person with a destination but no map. You have taken that grand, audacious, long-term goal, and you have broken it down. You have broken it down from a 10-year dream into a 5-year mission, a 1-year objective, a monthly milestone, a weekly target, and finally, down to a simple, daily, actionable set of commands. You have your Interstate 80. You have your starting point. You have done the hard, quiet, disciplined work of thinking. You have the blueprint for the magnificent house you want to build. You have the map to the treasure you seek. You have done more than 99% of the people who are just drifting and hoping. You have the what and you have the how. But now, we must address the third step. And this, my friends, is the great divide. This is the step where the dreamers are separated from the doers. This is the step where the students are separated from the masters. This is the step where potential dies, or where it is forged into reality. This is the step where most people fail. They have a shelf full of journals with crystal clear goals. They have stacks of notebooks with brilliant, detailed plans. They have the blueprint. They have the map, but they are still in the driveway. They are still sitting in New York, looking at the map to California. They have everything they need to succeed, except for the one thing that matters. This brings us to the third step in the process. You must take action. This is the great divide. This is the bridge. This is the ignition. A plan, no matter how brilliant, no matter how detailed, is just a piece of paper. It is just potential. It is inert. It has no power on its own. It is the blueprint for the house. But a blueprint has never kept anyone warm. It is the map to the gold. But a map has never made anyone rich. Action is the discipline that turns that potential into power. Action is the human energy that takes the intangible, the idea, the plan, and begins to forge it into the tangible. The result. Action is the hammer. Action is the shovel. Action is the engine. The plan is the recipe. The action is the cooking. And you can be the greatest student of recipes in the world. You can have a library full of cookbooks. But until you go into the kitchen, until you light the fire, until you pick up the ingredients, you will starve. This is the great failure of our age. We are drowning in information. We are drowning in how-to. We have access to more plans, more strategies, and more blueprints than any generation in human history. And yet, we are surrounded by people who are paralyzed. Paralyzed by what? They are paralyzed by waiting. This is the great enemy of action. This is the someday sickness. Coming back in a new, more sophisticated form. The drifter says, "Someday, I will figure out my goal." The dreamer says, "Someday I will make a plan." But the person who fails at step 3, they are the most tragic of all. They are the person who has the goal, who has the plan, but who is still waiting. What are they waiting for? They are waiting for the perfect moment. They are waiting for all the lights to be green. They are waiting for the economy to be perfect, for the market to be just right, for all their doubts to disappear. But the perfect moment, my friends, never comes. The perfect moment is a myth. It is an illusion. It is an excuse. It is the fear of failure, dressed up as prudence. They are waiting for inspiration to strike. They are waiting to feel like it. They are waiting for a magical, mystical wave of motivation to wash over them, to carry them effortlessly toward their goal. But let me tell you the truth about motivation. Motivation is a feeling. It is an emotion. It is a temporary, fickle, and unreliable guest. It may visit you for a day. It may visit you for an hour, but it will leave. You cannot build a life. You cannot achieve a great goal on the foundation of a feeling. The amateur waits for motivation. The professional, the builder, the architect, they operate on a different philosophy. They operate on the philosophy of discipline. Discipline is the great bridge. Discipline is the bridge between the goal and the accomplishment. Discipline is the choice, the adult decision to do what you said you were going to do what your plan says you must do. Long after the feeling, the emotion, the inspiration you had when you made the plan has faded. Discipline is the commitment. Motivation is the feeling. And commitment, my friends, is infinitely more powerful than a feeling. Let us go back to our farmer. This is the great analogy for all of life. The farmer has his clarity. Step 1, he wants a harvest. He has his plan. Step 2, he knows he must plant in the spring. Now, the day comes. It is the right day on the calendar. It is time to plant. He wakes up, and he does not feel like it. He is tired. He is sore. It is a little too cold. He would rather stay inside. What does the amateur farmer do? The amateur, the drifter, he obeys his feelings. He says, I am not motivated today. I will wait for inspiration. I will plant. Someday, I will wait until I feel like it. What does the professional farmer do? The professional farmer does not consult his feelings. He consults the season. He consults the plan. And the plan says, today is the day to plant. So he gets up. He ignores the feeling. And he goes out. And he does the work. He takes action. He plants the seed. Why? Because he understands the law. He understands that the season will not wait for his mood. The soil does not care about his feelings. The opportunity to plant is a window. And it is a short window. And if he lets his temporary feelings overrule the permanent law of the seasons, he will have nothing in the fall. Your plan is your season. Your plan tells you, today is the day to plant. Today is the day to make the call. Today is the day to do the workout. You must stop consulting your feelings. And you must start consulting your plan. You must stop living by your mood. And you must start living by your discipline. This is the great turning point. It is the moment you stop being a child, ruled by, I feel like it. And you become an adult, ruled by I committed to it. Your plan, your daily action list, that is your new boss, and you must obey it, even when you do not feel like it, especially when you do not feel like it. In fact, the moment you act despite not feeling like it, that is the moment you have truly succeeded. That is the moment you have built the muscle of discipline. That is the moment you have cast the most powerful vote for your new identity. Now, what is the nature of this action? This is the next great misunderstanding. People mistake action for grand, heroic, earth-shattering acts. They look at their plan, their road trip to California, and they are paralyzed. They think that taking action means they have to drive all 3,000 miles. Today, they are trying to build the entire wall in one afternoon. And because that is impossible, they do what? They do nothing. They go back to step 2, planning, or step uno, visualizing. They are stuck. This is not what action means. Action is not the grand, heroic, overwhelming event. Action is the small, simple, unglamorous, daily discipline. It is the consistency of small actions that, when compounded over time, produces the grand, heroic result. You do not build a magnificent wall by trying to build a wall. You build a magnificent wall by laying one brick. Perfectly. You focus all your attention on that one single brick. You lay it as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And then you lay the next brick, and the next one, the wall, the magnificent, towering structure is just the result, the byproduct of a long series of perfectly laid bricks. Your daily actions, the small things on your plan, these are your bricks. It is making the one phone call. It is reading the 10 pages of the book. It is doing the one workout. It is saving the $1. It is writing the one paragraph. It is the small, simple, unglamorous, consistent actions, day after day after day, that build the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Success is the cumulative effect of these daily, non-negotiable disciplines. You must fall in love with the process, not just the result. You must fall in love with laying the bricks. But this is where people fail. They say, I read 10 pages, but I am still not rich. I went for one walk, but I still have not lost the 20 pounds. I laid one brick, but I do not have a wall. And so they quit. They despise the small beginnings. They despise the process. They want the result, but they do not want the work. You must understand the power of compound effort. Each action is a brick. Each action is a seed. You will not see the harvest on the day you plant, but you must plant. And action has another magical property. Action, as the transcript said, leads to progress. And progress, no matter how small, has a profound effect. Action creates momentum. This is a law of physics. And it is a law of life. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. That is the person who is waiting. The person in the fog. The procrastinator. They have no momentum. And the hardest part of the entire journey is the first action. It is overcoming the inertia. It is starting the car. It is getting off the couch. But an object in motion tends to stay in motion. Action creates energy. It does not consume it. This is the great paradox. We think, I am too tired to act. We think action will drain us. But the opposite is true. Inaction is what drains you. Sitting on the couch, thinking about the work, worrying about the work, feeling guilty about the work. That is what is exhausting. That is the true energy vampire. The moment you start, the moment you take that first small action, the energy changes. You make the one phone call you have been dreading. And what happens when you hang up? You are not tired. You are energized. You think, okay, I did it. What is next? You did not feel motivated. So you acted. And the action created the motivation. This is the great secret. Motivation is not the parent of action. Motivation is the child of action. You do not wait to feel motivated to act. You act to get motivated. You act to create the energy. You act to build the momentum. And this links back to our previous discussion on identity. Action is the proof. Action is the evidence that solidifies your new identity. When you act like a disciplined person, when you do the workout, even when you do not feel like it, you are casting that vote. You are laying that brick. You are proving to your subconscious mind, see, this is who I am now. I am the person who does the work. Action is the forge. It is the fire that burns away the fog of your old identity and hardens the steel of your new one. This is the work. This is the discipline. It is the simple, daily, non-negotiable execution of your plan. You have your clarity. That is your destination. You have your plan. That is your map. And now, you have your engine. Action. Action is the great divider. It is the work. It is the discipline. It is the price of admission for your dreams. But what happens? You might ask, what happens when you are taking action? You are doing the work. You are laying the bricks. You are in motion. And you hit a wall. You hit an obstacle. Your motivation, even your discipline, fades. You are tired. You are frustrated. You feel like stopping. This is the next great test. Because action alone is not always enough. You are in the day-to-day battle. You need a support system. You need a structure to keep you in the game when you feel like quitting. This is why you need the next step. This is why you need step 4, accountability. And this links back to our previous discussion on identity. Action is the proof. Action is the evidence that solidifies your new identity. When you act like a disciplined person, when you do the work even when you do not feel like it, you are casting that vote. You are laying that brick. You are proving to your subconscious mind. See, this is who I am now. I am the person who does the work. Action is the forge. It is the fire that burns away the fog of your old identity and hardens the steel of your new one. We have now covered the first 3 essential steps: the clarity to know your destination, the plan to create the map, and the action to start the engine. If this logical, step-by-step process for building a better life is providing you with value, if this is the kind of serious discussion you have been searching for, I invite you to join our community. This channel is dedicated to the serious study of these principles. So, take just a moment to click that subscribe button. Now, you are in motion. But the journey is long. What happens when your own internal discipline fades? This brings us to the crucial 4th step, accountability. So, you have done the hard work. You have done the work of step 1, clarity. You have a crystal clear, specific, measurable destination. You are no longer lost in the fog of someday. You have a target. You have done the work of step 2, the plan. You have a map. You have taken that grand, audacious goal, and you have broken it down into a simple, daily, actionable set of commands. You have your Interstate 80. You have your starting point. And you have done the work of step 3, action. You have started the car. You have begun to lay the bricks. You have overcome the great inertia of waiting. You have decided to act, even when you do not feel like it. You are in motion. You are on the journey. But now, my friends, we must talk about the journey itself. Because the journey is not a straight line. The journey is not always easy. The plan, your map, does not show you the potholes. It does not show you the storms. It does not show you the days when you will be tired, frustrated, and full of doubt. This is the moment. This is the great wall that separates the amateur from the professional. This is the moment where your initial motivation, that wonderful, the powerful feeling you had when you set the goal, has faded. It is gone, and you are left alone in the middle of the journey with nothing but the work. This is the moment that 99% of people quit. This is the moment the New Year's resolution dies. This is the moment the gym membership goes unused. This is the moment the business plan goes back into the drawer. Why? Because they have done the first 3 steps. But they have failed to build the 4th. They have failed to build the structure that will get them through the storm. This brings us to the 4th step. And it is the step that most people overlook. But it is, perhaps, the most crucial of all for long-term success. The 4th step is accountability. What is accountability? Accountability is the structure you build around your commitment. It is the system that ensures you follow through, long after the feeling of motivation has left the building. It is the understanding that your own internal willpower is not enough. It is a finite resource. It is a muscle that gets tired. You cannot run a marathon on a single burst of energy. You must have a system. Accountability is the system. It is crucial if you want to stay on track. When you are accountable to someone else, whether it is a friend, a mentor, or a coach, you are far more likely to follow through on your commitments. Why? Because accountability creates a sense of responsibility. It adds a layer of healthy, external pressure that keeps you moving forward, even when you do not feel like it. This is the great failure of the lone wolf. Most people try to achieve their goals in secret. They make a private promise to themselves. They say, I am going to do this. I do not need to tell anyone. I can do this on my own. They think this is a sign of strength. In truth, it is the ultimate setup for failure. Why? Here is the thing about goals. It is easy to make promises to yourself. It is just as easy to break them. You tell yourself, I will wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and work on my plan. And then 5 a.m. comes. The alarm goes off. It is dark. It is cold. You are tired. And who is there to watch you? No one. So what do? You hit the snooze button. And you negotiate with yourself. I will start tomorrow. One day will not hurt. I deserve the rest. You have just let yourself off the hook. You are the judge, the jury, and the defendant. And you always acquit yourself when no one is watching. It is easy to let yourself off the hook. When no one is watching, it is easy to rationalize. It is easy to make excuses. Your laziness, your desire for comfort, your procrastination. It thrives in secrecy. It grows in the dark. Accountability is the act of turning on the light. It is the act of taking your private, easy-to-break promise and making it public. It is the act of inviting someone else into your process. This is the power of external pressure. Think about your life. You have an appointment with your dentist on Tuesday at 10 a.m. It is on the calendar. Do you go? Yes. Even if you do not feel like it, even if you are not motivated. Why? Because someone is expecting you. You have made a commitment. You have accountability. You have a mortgage payment due on the 1st of the month. Do you pay it? Yes. Why? Because there are consequences. There is a system of accountability. You have a meeting with your boss on Friday. Do you show up? Prepared? Yes. Why? Because someone is holding you accountable. We are masters at keeping the commitments we make to other people, but we are terrible. We are casual about the commitments we make to ourselves. Why? Because there is no immediate external consequence for failure. You must, if you are serious about your goal, create a consequence. You must manufacture your own healthy pressure. Accountability is the process of elevating your personal goal, your dream, to the same level of seriousness as your dentist appointment. It is making an appointment with your future, and then making sure someone is there to check that you showed up. When you have got someone holding you accountable, someone who is expecting you to show up, someone who is expecting you to deliver, you are far less likely to quit. You are no longer just letting yourself down. You are now letting them down. And for most of us, that social pressure, that desire to protect our reputation and our integrity in the eyes of others, is a far more powerful motivator than our own internal willpower on a tired Tuesday morning. Let me tell you about a time when accountability made a huge difference in my life. When I was starting out, I was working on a major project. I had my clarity. I had my plan. I had started taking action. But I knew it was going to take months, perhaps years, of consistent, daily effort to see it through. And I knew, from my own past failures, that my own motivation would fade. I knew I would be tempted to quit. So I enlisted the help of a mentor, a man I greatly respected, and I went to him. And I said, I have this goal. This is my plan. This is what I am committed to doing. Will you hold me accountable? And he agreed. We set up a simple system. He said, every Friday at 9 a.m., we will meet for 15 minutes, and you will report to me on your progress. You will tell me what you did and what you did not do. That was the system. A simpler 5-minute meeting. But let me tell you, it changed everything. What happened on Wednesday afternoon? When I was tired, when I was frustrated, when I did not feel like it, when I was tempted to put the work off until tomorrow, I thought about Friday. I thought about walking into that man's office, a man I respected, and having to look him in the eye and say, I did nothing. I thought about having to say, I broke my promise. I let myself off the hook. I was lazy. I could not bear that thought. My respect for him and my desire to protect my own integrity in his eyes was a more powerful force than my own temporary desire for comfort. So what did I do? I made the calls. I did the work. I read the book. I pushed myself to make progress every single week. Not because I was always motivated, but because I was accountable. I did not want to show up empty-handed. That healthy, external pressure kept me on track. It was the guardrail that kept me from driving off the cliff of my own excuses. Now, accountability does not have to be that formal. You do not need to hire a coach, although that is a powerful way to do it. You do not need to find a high-level mentor, if that is not an option. You can simply find a friend, a colleague, someone in your family. But here is the key. You must find someone who is also working on their own goals. You cannot ask a drifter to hold you accountable. You cannot ask someone who is living in the fog of someday to be the guardian of your disciplines. They will just co-sign your excuses. They will say, "Oh, you are tired? You should rest. You deserve a break." And they will help you fail. No, you must find someone who understands the process. And you make a simple pact. You hold each other accountable. You set up a system, a daily text, a 10-minute call every Monday morning. You check in, you share your progress, you encourage each other to stay on track, and you give each other permission to be tough. You give each other permission to challenge the excuses. This is not a complaint partner. This is an accountability partner. A complaint partner just listens to you talk about your struggles. An accountability partner asks, "Did you do what you said you would do? And if not, why not? And when will you get it done?" It is a partnership of mutual respect and high standards. But what if you say, "Mr. Rohn, I cannot find anyone. I am truly on my own in this"? Well, that is a tough position, but it is not an excuse, because there is one person you can always be accountable to: yourself. You can, and you must, hold yourself accountable. How? By making your progress visible. By facing the facts. One of the best ways to do this is by tracking your progress. You must get it out of your head and onto paper. Keep a journal. Make a checklist. Create a habit tracker. Get a big calendar and hang it on your wall. Whatever works for you. But you must keep yourself honest. When you can see your progress or your lack of progress in black and white, it is a powerful motivator to keep going. This is the accountability of the mirror. You must be willing to face the truth of your own performance. If your plan says, "I will make 5 calls a day," then your tracker, at the end of the day, must say 5. And if it says 0, you cannot lie to yourself. You cannot pretend. You have broken the commitment. The evidence is right there. But this also works in a positive way. This is how you build momentum. You make the 5 calls. You put a big X on the calendar. You did it. You kept the promise. You see that is a small victory. Then you do it the next day. Another X. And the next. Another X. Soon, you have a chain of victories. You have 10 X's in a row. Now, a new, powerful motivation has entered the game. The motivation to not break the chain. On day 11, you will be tired. You will be frustrated. You will have excuses. But you will look at that beautiful chain of 10 X's. That evidence of your new identity. That proof of your new discipline. And the small, temporary pain of making the calls will become less than the big, permanent pain of breaking that chain. You are holding yourself accountable to your own progress. You are building self-respect. 1 X at a time. This is the work. This is the structure. Accountability is the unsung hero of achievement. Clarity is the destination. The plan is the map. Action is the engine that moves the car. But accountability is the guardrail. It is the structure that keeps you on the road. It keeps you on the Interstate 80 of your plan. Especially when the storm of fatigue hits. Or when the fog of doubt rolls in. It is the system that protects you from your own worst enemy. Your feelings. Your excuses. your desire for comfort. It keeps you moving when your motivation has long since faded. It adds structure to the process, and it prevents you, day after day, from falling off track. So, after you have gained your clarity, after you have created your plan, and after you have started taking action, you must build this fourth step. You must have a system in place to stay accountable. Find a partner or face the mirror. But do not try to do this alone. In the dark. This is the fourth crucial step. It is the step that makes your action consistent. And it is this consistency that sets you up for the final, unstoppable step. The step that guarantees you will arrive at your destination. The step that separates the winners from everyone else. Persistence. So, you have done the work. You have done the work of step one, clarity. You have a crystal clear, specific, measurable destination. You are no longer lost in the fog of someday. You have a target. You have done the work of step two, the plan. You have a map. You have taken that grand, audacious goal, and you have broken it down into a simple, daily, actionable set of commands. You have your Interstate 80. You have your starting point. You have done the work of step three, action. You have started the car. You have begun to lay the bricks. You have overcome the great inertia of waiting. You have decided to act, even when you do not feel like it. You are in motion. You are on the journey. And you have done the work of step four, accountability. You have built the guardrails. You have turned on the light. You have brought in a partner. Or you are facing the mirror. You have a system to keep you on the road when your own internal motivation fades. You have a perfect system. You have the destination. You have the map. You have the engine. And you have the guardrails. What more could you possibly need? You need the one, final, non-negotiable ingredient. You need the ingredient that keeps the car running when you run out of gas. You need the ingredient that gives you the strength to get back on the road after you have crashed into the guardrail. You need the ingredient that makes the entire journey possible. This brings us to the final and most profound step of all. The final step to achieving any goal is persistence. This is it. This is the step that separates those who succeed from those who fall short. This is the dividing line between the amateur and the professional. This is the virtue that separates the winners from the quitters. You can have the clearest goal in the world. You can have the most brilliant, detailed plan. You can be a master of taking action. You can even have the world's best accountability partner. But if you do not have persistence, you will fail. Most people give up too soon. That is the simple, tragic truth of 99% of unfulfilled dreams. They set a goal. They make a plan. They take action. They are excited. The journey is new. But then, inevitably, the journey gets tough. They hit that first roadblock. They face their first real setback. The plan does not work perfectly. They get a no. They get a rejection. They fail. And what do? They throw in the towel. They quit. They walk away. They say, it wasn't meant to be. They say, I guess I am not cut out for this. They let a temporary obstacle become a permanent barrier. Persistence is the antidote to this. Persistence is the willingness to keep going, no matter how hard it gets. Persistence is what turns dreams into reality. It is the ability to keep pushing, even when things get tough, even when the progress seems painfully slow, even when setbacks appear, one after another. Most Most people do not fail because their goals are too big. They do not fail because they are not capable. They do not fail because their plan was wrong. They fail because they give up too soon. They fail because they lack the simple, raw, unglamorous virtue of persistence. They give up at the first, or the 10th, or the 100th sign of difficulty. How many people do you know, perhaps even in your own life, who started something? They started with all the excitement and energy in the world. They started the new business. They started the new health plan. They started the new degree. And for a month, you could not stop them. They were on fire. And then, they hit a rough patch. The business lost money. The scale did not move for a week. The class got difficult, and they stopped. They quit. They just quietly walked away. They let the dream die. Now, what if they had just kept going? What if they had just pushed for another week, another month, another year? What if they had pushed just a little bit harder? Just a little bit longer? Success, my friends, does not come to those who try once or twice and then give up. It comes to those who stick with it. It comes to those who are willing to fail, and fail, and fail again, and to learn from those failures, and to get up, and to try again. Let us look at the story from the transcript of Colonel Sanders. Here is a story of persistence. He was not an overnight success. In fact, he did not start his empire, KFC, until he was in his 60s. His life, up to that point, was a long, documented list of setbacks and failures. He worked as a farmhand, a streetcar conductor, a railroad fireman. He even had a law practice that failed. At one point, he was running a small service station in Kentucky, and he was serving his now famous fried chicken. He knew he had a good product. He had clarity. Step 1. He had a plan. Step 2. He would franchise his recipe. He took action. Step 3. And what was the result of his action? Rejection. The transcript says he was rejected over 1,000 times. Let us put that in perspective. 1,000. Can you imagine the sheer, crushing weight of that? Can you imagine rejection number 100? Can you imagine rejection number 500? Can you imagine rejection number 800? Can you imagine rejection number 999? What do you think he was thinking as he drove in his 60s across the country, from one restaurant to another, sleeping in his car, being told no, and no, and that is a crazy idea, and no, thank you, over and over and over again. Do you think his motivation was high? Do you think he was feeling inspired on the morning of rejection number 742? Probably not. He was likely tired. He was likely frustrated. He was likely full of doubt. He was a man in his 60s, with very little to his name. He had every reason in the world, every excuse, to quit. He could have said, "I am too old. It is too late. The world does not want what I have. I tried. I gave it my best shot. It just was not meant to be." That is what the 999 would do. That is what the person without persistence would do. But not the colonel. He believed in his product, and he was persistent. He kept going, no matter how many times he was rejected. Finally, after years of persistence, after more than 1,000 no's, one restaurant owner said, Yes, that was the beginning. That was the breakthrough. That was the start of what would become a global brand. But none of it would have happened if Colonel Sanders had not kept going after those 1,000 rejections. That is what persistence looks like. It is not the absence of failure. It is the refusal to be defined by failure. He did not let the failure define him. He used each rejection as a stepping stone. He used each no as feedback. He did not quit. Just because things were not working out right away, he kept knocking on doors. He kept adjusting his approach. And eventually, he found the breakthrough he needed. That is the power of persistence. It is staying committed. Even when everything and everyone seems to be telling you to quit. The key to persistence, the key to this entire philosophy, is to understand that setbacks are not permanent. Write that down. Setbacks are temporary. They are not the end of the story. They are just a chapter. They are part of the process. Every great success story is filled with failures, roadblocks, and disappointments. The difference, the only difference, between those who succeed and those who do not, is that the successful ones keep going. They persist. They have a different philosophy of failure. The person who quits sees a setback as a wall. It is a stop sign. It is the end of the road. The person who persists sees that same setback as a lesson. It is an opportunity to grow. It is feedback. It is the world telling you, not that way. Try another way. It is not telling you to give up on the destination. It is just telling you to adjust your plan. This links directly back to step 2. The goal is fixed. The plan is flexible. And here's a little secret about persistence. The moment you feel like giving up, the moment when everything seems the hardest, the moment you are the most frustrated, the moment the doubt is the loudest, that is usually the moment you are closest to a breakthrough. This is the great cosmic test. Life will test you. It will push you to the very brink of quitting, just to see if you are serious. Most people quit right before they are about to succeed. It is like the story of the man who was digging for gold. He had bought a claim. He had his clarity. Step 1. He had his plan. Step 2. He was taking action. Step 3. He was digging. He had been digging for weeks, for months, without finding anything. He was exhausted. He was frustrated. He had run out of money. He was ready to give up. He had lost his faith. So he put down his shovel. He sold his equipment for scrap. And he walked away. He quit. But the story goes that the man who bought the claim, he came in and he hired an engineer. He did a little research. And the engineer said, "You know, it looks like the first man stopped right at a fault line in the vein. But our calculations show if you just dig 3 feet in this direction, the gold will be there." So the new man picked up the shovel. He dug 3 feet, and he hit one of the largest gold strikes of the era. He became fabulously wealthy. Where was the first man? He was 3 feet from gold. He had done all the work. He had done 99% of the work. He had endured all the pain, but he quit. 3 feet too soon. That is the story of most people's lives. They are 3 feet from gold, but they walk away. Persistence is the discipline of digging one more day. It is the discipline of making one more call. It is the discipline of knocking on one more door. Because you never know how close you are. You never know if that next door, that 1001th door, is the one that will say yes. So, how do you develop this? If this is the great virtue, how do you get it? It is not a magical quality you are born with. It is a discipline. It is a set of philosophies that you can build. There are 3 mechanics to persistence. First, you must stay connected to your why. Persistence needs fuel. The fuel for your persistence. The fuel that will get you through the 1,000 no's is your why. This is why step 1, clarity, was the foundation of this entire process. It is not just a nice thing to have. It is the source of your power. If your why is weak, if your clarity is foggy, if your goal is just a casual, it would be nice to have, then the first time you hit a roadblock, you will quit, because the pain of the obstacle will be greater than the pull of the goal. But when your why is strong, when your clarity is crystal clear, when your goal is a must, when it is tied to your deepest values, your family, your future, your integrity, then you will find the strength. When you feel like giving up, when things get hard, you must remind yourself why you are doing it. You must go back to step 1. You must reread your written, detailed goal. You must rerun that mental movie of your success. That why will give you the strength to keep going. Second, you must break your goal down into smaller milestones. This is the link to step 2. The plan. You cannot be persistent for 10 years. All at once. That is too overwhelming. It is too big. But you can be persistent for today. If your goal is to dig for gold, you cannot focus on the 10 tons of gold. You must focus on the next shovelful. This is why you break your plan down into smaller, manageable steps. You are not focused on losing 20 pounds. You are focused on winning today. You are focused on your plan for today, which is to walk for 30 minutes and to eat the salad. And when you do it, you must celebrate that small win. This is what we learned in step 4. Accountability. You put that X on the calendar. That is progress. That small, visible progress is what keeps you motivated. It is the fuel. It reminds you that you are moving in the right direction. Persistence is just a long series of small, consistent, daily wins, stacked on top of each other. And third, you must be flexible. This is the key. Being persistent does not mean being stubborn. This is a crucial distinction. Stubbornness is doing the same thing over and over and over again, even when it is not working. That is not persistence. That is insanity. That is hitting your head against a brick wall and wondering why the wall is not falling down. Persistence means you are flexible in your approach, but you are rigid in your goal. The goal, the destination. Step 1 is fixed. It is non-negotiable. You are going to California, but the plan, step 2, is infinitely adaptable. If you hit that roadblock, if the no's are piling up, if the strategy is not working, the persistent person does not quit. The persistent person learns. They ask, what is this feedback telling me? What is the lesson here? And they adjust the plan. They try another way. Colonel Sanders did not quit. He persisted in the goal, but he was flexible in his approach. He learned from his rejections. He adjusted his pitch. He tried a different strategy. He kept adapting his plan until he found the one that worked. Be willing to adjust your plan, but never give up on the goal. There were plenty of times in my own career when things did not go according to plan. I had financial setbacks. I had speaking engagements that did not go well. I had people tell me I would not make it. But I kept going. I stayed committed to the goal. I adjusted my approach. I learned from my mistakes. And I stayed focused. And because I was persistent, eventually, things started to fall into place. That is the power of persistence. And I want to leave you with one final thought about this. Persistence is not just about grit. It is not just determination. It is also about faith. It is about having faith in yourself. Faith that you have the ability to learn, to grow, and to adapt. Faith in your identity, step 3. It is about having faith in the process. Faith that these 5 steps, this recipe, if you follow it, will produce a result. It is a law, like the law of the harvest. And it is about having faith that if you keep doing the right things, if you keep planting the seeds, if you keep laying the bricks, the results will come. You might not see the results right away. You might be digging for a long time. You might be 3 feet from gold. But if you trust the process, if you stay committed, the harvest will come. That faith is what will carry you through the dark times. It is what will keep you going. When all the external evidence is telling you to quit, this is the system. This is the path. Clarity. The plan. Action. Accountability. And persistence. This is the way of life. So, there you have it. The 5 steps. This is the process. This is the formula. It is not magic. It is a science. We have discussed them. First, clarity. The discipline of getting crystal clear. Of knowing exactly what you want. Of painting a specific, measurable, detailed picture of your destination. Of leaving the fog of someday and defining the target. Second, to create a plan, the discipline of taking that grand, clear, audacious goal and breaking it down, and down, and down, until you have a simple, daily, actionable set of commands, a roadmap, a blueprint, not a perfect plan, but a starting plan. A flexible, living document that gives you direction. Third, to take action. The discipline of starting the car. The discipline of laying the first brick. The discipline of doing the work. Of executing the plan. Even when you do not feel like it. Especially when you do not feel like it. Understanding that action creates motivation. Not the other way around. Fourth, to stay accountable. The discipline of building the guardrails. The discipline of bringing your commitment out of the dark and into the light. Of finding a partner. Or facing the mirror. And tracking your progress. So that you are held to a higher standard. And you are protected from your own worst enemy, your excuses. And finally, the 5th step, persistence, the great virtue, the discipline of faith and flexibility, the willingness to keep going. No matter how hard it gets, the refusal to give up, understanding that setbacks are not failure. They are just feedback, the commitment to the goal. Even when you must be flexible in your approach. These 5 steps, my friends, they are not just principles. They are not just ideas to be discussed. They are a way of life. They are a new philosophy. They are the blueprint for becoming the architect of your own destiny, instead of the victim of your own circumstances. It is easy to look at these as 5 separate, isolated steps, a checklist, Did I do clarity? Check. Did I do a plan? Check. But that is not where the power lies. The true power of this process is that it is not a checklist. It is a system. It is a loop. Each step is connected to the next. Each step gives power and meaning to the one that came before and the one that comes after. They work together. Think about this. Your clarity from step 1 is the fuel for your persistence in step 5. When you are on rejection number 900, when you are tired, when you are frustrated, when you want to quit, what is the one thing that will keep you going? Your why, your clarity, that crystal clear, vivid, emotional picture of your destination. If your clarity is weak, your persistence will be weak. If your why is foggy, you will quit at the first sign of trouble. Your plan from step 2 is the structure for your action in step 3. You cannot take consistent action if you do not have a plan. You will be busy, but not productive. You will be active, but not accomplishing. Your plan is what gives your action direction. Your accountability from step 4 is the guardrail for your action in step 3. Action and discipline are hard to maintain. Accountability is the external system that ensures your action happens consistently. And your persistence from step 5 is what you apply to your plan from step 2. When your action from step 3 meets an obstacle, you see, you do not just quit. You persist, which means you go back to the plan. And you adjust it. And then you take new action. It is a living, breathing, dynamic system for achievement. If you have clarity, but no plan, you are a dreamer. You have a beautiful destination, but no map. You will go nowhere. If you have a plan, but no action, you are a philosopher. You have a beautiful map, but you are still sitting in the driveway. You will go nowhere. If you have action, but no accountability, you are an amateur. You will be powerful when you are motivated, but you will quit as soon as you get tired. You are a sprinter in a marathon. And if you have all 4, but no persistence, you are a quitter. You have a destination, a map, an engine, and guardrails. But at the first sign of a detour, at the first flat tire, you abandon the entire journey. Just 3 feet from the goal, you must have all 5. Clarity, a plan, action, accountability, and persistence. This is the process. This is the science. And this brings us to the great conclusion. This brings us to the 2 paths in life. Every single one of us, every single day, is on one of 2 paths. The first path is the path of the drifter. It is the path of someday. It is the path of hoping and wishing. It is the path of the person who is not engaged with this 5-step process. It is the path of neglect. This path, my friends, is the easy path. It is the path of least resistance. It is the path of casualness. It is easy to not take the time to get clear. It is easy to not make a plan. It is easy to hit the snooze button, to choose the television over the book, to obey your feelings instead of your commitments. It is easy to not be accountable, to keep your struggles a secret, and it is easy to quit. This is the easy path, but this is the great, profound, and tragic law of life. What is easy to do is also easy not to do. And the accumulation, the daily accumulation of all those easy choices leads to a hard life. It is the life of the person who wakes up at age 60 in the fog, looking back at a life of quiet regret, wondering where it all went, wondering what could have been. It is the harvest of all that neglect. It is the farmer who found it easy to sleep in the spring, and now must face the hard reality of a cold, barren winter. It is the law. Casualness causes casualties. The easy path leads to a hard life. But there is another path. It is the path of the architect, the path of the builder, the path of the serious person. It is the path of discipline. It is the path of these 5 steps. And this path is hard. It is hard. Day to day. It is hard to sit down, to fight your own mind, and to get crystal clear. It is hard to do the work of breaking down a big dream into a daily plan. It is hard to take action when you are tired and frustrated, and your feelings are telling you to stop. It is hard to be accountable, to show up for that meeting, to admit that you failed this week. And it is hard to persist, to get up after you have been knocked down for the 1,000th time, and to keep going. This is the hard path. But here is the other side of the law. Here is the great promise. This hard, disciplined, daily life produces a good life. It produces a life of achievement, a life of pride, a life of confidence, a life of freedom, a life of results. This is the great exchange. You must exchange the easy daily path for the hard daily path, because the hard, disciplined path is the only one that leads to the good, successful, and fulfilling life you are dreaming of. The price of discipline is always less than the price of regret. This is the choice. This is the choice that you are presented with. Right now, you are standing, as we all are, at a fork in the road, and you must choose your path. Will you continue to be the drifter, or will you decide tonight to become the architect? The beautiful thing is this: it is a choice. It does not matter what has happened up until this moment. It does not matter what your background is. It does not matter what your education is. It does not matter how many times you have failed in the past. Your past is not your potential. Your past is not a life sentence. Your past is a classroom. And today is a new day. This is a new moment. You can draw a new line. You can make a new choice. You now have the formula. You now have the recipe. You now have the map. The excuse of "I do not know how" is gone. The excuse of it is "a mystery" is gone. 2. This is the science. Get clear. Make a plan. Take action. Stay accountable. And be persistent. Success is not a mystery, reserved for a select few. It is not about luck. It is not about magic. It is a formula. It is a process. It is available to anyone. And I mean anyone who has the discipline to follow these 5 simple steps. Whether it is a personal goal, a financial goal, a health goal, or a career goal. These steps will take you from where you are to where you want to be. Success is within your reach. You just have to go after it. Thank you for investing your most valuable asset, your time, with me for this important discussion. If these 5 strategies have given you clarity, if you feel better equipped to architect your own life, then I invite you to make this a permanent part of your education. This channel is dedicated to this philosophy of success and personal mastery, built on the philosophies of the greats. To continue this journey with us, please take a moment to click the like button. It is a small gesture, but it signals that this message was valuable and helps it reach others. And most importantly, so you do not miss the next conversation in this series, please click that subscribe button. And now, my final call to action for you. A commitment in the comments below. Share one thing. What is the one goal you are now committed to achieving? Using these 5 steps, make that declaration. The work begins today. Thank you.